Hey guys, welcome back. Let's make some drums. In this video, we're going to create a basic outline or the structure of the song. It's all going to be locked to the grid, and then we'll come back in a later video and add some bells and whistles, and then we'll also humanize them. But for now, we're going to get the general idea of what we want our drums to do, and we're going to take this section by section. Now, you may hear me actually say the drum part I want to play, and I've always been under the impression that if you can say it, you can play it. So if you hear me say something like doot doot bop, I'm actually making the drum beat that I want verbally. Then I'll create that with the pen tool. Now before we get started, you know that I'm going to be drawing in MIDI notes with the pencil tool in the MIDI editor. And at times, it may seem as if I'm just writing notes anywhere, but there really is a method to the madness. Now let me show you by opening the MIDI editor. At the top, we can see we have a bars and beats section. So from bar 21 to 22, there's a dark blue line that represents the beginning of bar 21. And it ends where bar 22 starts with this dark blue line. Now, because I'm in 16th note grid resolution, which we've discussed, there's 16 spaces available between bar 21 and 22 for me to create notes. And in between those, we also have quarter notes with a line that's a little bit lighter than the bar but darker than the 16th note. So when I'm putting in snares, I'm generally putting them in a quarter note fashion. So I know to go directly to these lines here. And when I'm creating a drum beat, I'm doing it bar by bar. So I may say doot bop, and that's one bar. Doot bop, doot, doot. So from 21 to 22, we've created one bar of drums. And I've done that simply just by knowing exactly where I am in the MIDI editor in one bar, and I also have these quarter notes available to me. So I wanted to explain that to you before we get started because it may seem as if I'm just drawing in notes anywhere, but really I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm in between bars and I may be on a quarter note signifying line, or a bar signifying line, or just simply in my 16th notes. We're going to start out by just checking out the beginning of the song. I think about bar 9, we're going to add like a little intro with the drums. Let's take a listen. Yeah, definitely. We're going to put in a little tss-tss-ba-da. Open my MIDI editor. All right. So grab my pencil tool and let's find a little open symbol we can... There we go. Sounds pretty good. And then we'll need our do-da, so it's going to be a kick snare. So 1, 2, 3. Ba-da. So that should be pretty good. Let's listen. Nope. Have to pull these guys over a little bit. So I'm going to grab them, pull them here. There we go. Now let's listen to the next section and see what sounds good. So we've got our lead in. All right, I kind of feel like this song has a doot-doot-bop kind of feel to it. So we're going to program that beat. Let me get into the MIDI editor and grab our pen tool. So we said doot-doot-bop, doot-doot-bop. See how that sounds. Okay. So I'm going to select these that we've created already, and Command or Control D will duplicate. And I'm going to duplicate that several times because it's going to be the same thing, and to save ourselves a little time, we don't have to pencil each note in. Let's take a listen. Okay, we need to make sure it happens a couple more times. So I'm going to select those, Command or Control D. That should get us to the end of the... And on this last note here, I'm going to alt-click it, alt-click the note, and drag. We'll create another note without disturbing what you already have here. So if you want a different instrument, such as a tom, in the exact same spot, you don't have to draw it back in. You can simply alt-click on your note and drag up. It'll create the exact same note at the exact same velocity, and you can drag it around from there. So at the end of this section, we'll have a nice big boom with our tom. That's sounding pretty rockin'. Let's get our cymbals going. Gonna get my pen tool and get back over here. Just gonna create a note. Let's see. There we go. And we're gonna do that on quarter notes. Let's hear how that sounds. Nice. We get that riding of the crash effect. So I'm going to grab these, Command D, and I'm going to fill out the rest of the bar here. Except I need to remove this one on the end, because if the drummer's hitting the snare and the tom at the same time, it's highly unlikely that he's going to be hitting a cymbal as well. So when you're programming drums, you need to really imagine the drummer's got two arms. So if he's hitting two things at once and you add in a third instrument, it's going to sound not realistic. Now, we're definitely going to come back and put some drum rolls in here. So you may think that this sounds kind of rather boring at this time, but we're just getting the general idea. Now I'm going to alt-click this note and drag down. So we have two cymbals really crash in at the beginning of this section here. And there as well. So alt-click. There we go. There we go. We got a nice intro section where the drummer's rocking and riding this crash cymbal. Okay. So let's listen to the next section together and see what feels good for the verse.
After all's been said and all is gone, I still can hear your voice ringing in my head, ringing in my head. It never ends and it's saying...
Okay, so for this section, I think we should mix it up a little bit, and we're going to do a doot bop, doot doot bop. So it's different than the beginning of the song, which creates excitement because it's different, and it should be different because we're in a different section of the song. So we're going to go doot bop, doot, doot, bop. Let's have a listen.
After all's been said.
I'm going to duplicate it a couple times so we can kind of hear that in context. I think it's going to fit pretty nicely.
After all's been said and all is gone, I still can hear your voice ringing in my head, ringing in my head. It never ends and it's saying...
Needs a couple more.
It never ends and it's saying...
And at that point, the song kind of picks up some excitement and we'll change it there. But for now, let's do the first half of the verse. So, we should probably add in a cymbal. Get my pen. Cymbal crash. Same as the beginning to give it that excitement effect, and we know, boom, we're coming into a new section.
After all's been said and all is gone.
All right, let's get a close hi-hat going. I think this one sounds pretty good. And let's just give it a go at quarter notes and see how that sounds for now.
After all's been said and all is gone.
Sounds all right. I think I would like to add some more notes in. Now, a lot of programming drums you're going to find is experimentation. You need to listen to what the source is and in your mind kind of figure out what's going to complement that well. That's why when we created a guide track, we captured the spirit of the song. We gave ourselves a good chance at creating these drums to be very complementary towards the song. So let's hear this with a couple more hi-hats so the drummer kind of comes in and is hammering away on that hi-hat.
After all's been said and all is gone.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So let's fill this in with the rest of the song. I'm going to actually grab these by selecting all of them and alt-dragging. Then I'm going to do the same thing again here. Actually, I'll Command D this time. Both ways are going to give you the same result. It's just a matter of what you're most comfortable with. And I'm going to chop these off here because that's the next section. So let's have a listen here.
After all's been said and all is gone, I still can hear your voice ringing in my head, ringing in my head. It never ends and it's saying, touch, touch, touch.
All right. That sounds really good. And you may notice that it's very stiff. All these are exactly on the grid, and they're all the same velocity. So it's very robotic at this point, but that's something we're going to affect later and change later because a drummer's not going to hit the hi-hat cymbal the same way every time. And once you kind of change that, you're going to get a more realistic sound. But for now, we're just getting the general idea and working our way through the song. Now we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will continue programming our verse.